have another session, right? So 7:30 will be good, Prabhuji.
Yeah, today we will do an introductory session on this. So I'll be using these slides on and off for the one which we have used in the Essence of Bhagavad Gita course. I'll just move on from there. Okay. So the 12th chapter is about devotional service. As we all know, we have completed the 12th chapter is on devotional service. The chapter is titled as a devotional service, so it predominantly talks about devotional service. Devotion, Bhakti, Srila Prabhupada has used as devotional service. So it's a topic of Bhakti Yoga. So all the yogas, previous yogas that we talked about, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, all ultimately culminate. And just like so many rivers flow, they culminate and ultimately a big main river is formed. This chapter takes us through a very practical devotional service aspects. So primarily, this chapter is a very sweet chapter. Small number of shlokas are less, easy to remember shlokas, easy to understand shlokas, very practically adoptable and thing are there. And three main, I understand this topic in terms of three main sections. One section where Arjuna, after listening or after seeing the universal form, and again once again reaffirming himself on who is Krishna, wants to know now. It appears that he has completely decided to be devoted to Krishna and follow the precepts of the devotional service without asking too many questions. So when he came to that point in time, so since he knew that there could be two paths of approaching Krishna, either through personal form or impersonal form. So these are the questions Arjuna asks, and Krishna explains the difference between personal form of worship and impersonal form of worship. That's point number one. And then Krishna gives a various levels of choices of how one can be devoted to him based on one's own capacity and time, place, circumstance kind of situations. So that's another very important thing, and we can easily relate to ourselves what we can do when Krishna is giving so many options. At least it becomes our responsibility to pick one of those options to move forward in life so that we can progress. And then importantly, Krishna gives some qualities that he wants to see in devotees, so that we can become very dear to Krishna, and Krishna also likes us. So since we are willing to go in the path of devotion, all of us are aspiring to be devotees. So that section of the 12th chapter is also important, because some of the qualities are there. We may not be very good in all of them. At least some of them we can pick it up as an areas of improvement for us and try to do that. And 2 weeks back I had given a session for the worker ashram devotees on the affirmations. What are those japa affirmations from a workshop of the Mahatma Prabhu? There are 20 affirmations. I said we can all pick up 1 or 2 affirmations from there. Similarly, when we walk through the 12th chapter in the few weeks to come, we'll also dwell on these qualities that Krishna is saying that by having them, we can become more dear to Krishna, and we can pick up 1 or 2 as an areas of improvement and move on. Just like the way when we covered the 10th chapter, opulences of the Lord, each one of us have taken one opulence of the Lord that was there, and we briefed those. Each one of had a chance to talk about those opulences. Same concept, we'll also have it when we come to that stage of the chapter, where we will pick up the qualities, and then we, from our own practical point of view, speak about them. So there'll be quite a lot of interaction will happen as we move along in this chapter. So we'll again today, somehow when I was preparing, when I was glancing through these slides, I very fondly and very respectfully remembered Shama Sham Prabhu, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, because our whole Gita Yajna, the Gita sessions have started in their office given hall that we all used to assemble in the Discovery Gardens, Street 12. That's where our whole journey of association started, by reading the Gita starting from chapter 1. So now we have come to chapter 12. So they were very kind enough to host us. In those days, Shashimukhi Mataji also almost single-handedly used to handle the prasadam arrangements. and then few other devotees joined. And so that hall, that presence of the devotees, the warmth of the devotees with which they used to welcome. Also, I was very fondly remembering the efforts that were made by, of course, by Sumangal Prabhu in organizing and getting that place is also important. But my mind was filled with gratitude with all those people who had enabled that program, even though now it has become online. Right, I think we should not forget the roots of that. And also that hall is very important for me personally, because it has given me a chance to be in your association discussing the topics of Bhagavad Gita. Initially it used to be more of some in Hindi, some in English, so slowly as it turned out it became in English dominantly. And that hall is also important to us because in that hall also had seen arrival of 3 wonderful devotees into our group. Sadhu Sevan Prabhu, in those days Sunil Sharma and Aparna Mataji, and we also had Vasant Prabhu and Preeta Mataji coming there, and of course Sant Gopeshwar Prabhu and Purna Premamayi Mataji came into that. We joined when we were doing the programs there. Somehow I just went into a nostalgic mood when I was seeing that we have come to this stage of 12th chapter. So all these very nice things happened in that very hall that is no more there. Physically that hall is no more there, but mentally and emotionally that hall is very much part of our journey into this Bhagavad Gita reading. So today we will read, we'll go through the 12th chapter. I'll not take much time, we'll just go the introduction, and then from next week onwards we'll jump into the thing. We'll try to cover 7th chapter in about 4 weeks time, 3 to 4 weeks time, so that we'll go leisurely, we'll go at a leisure pace, discussing and questioning each other, challenging each other, and then move on. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Yes, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, as you recollected our past memories, I can't stop myself saying at least one point, Prabhuji, which is very, very important. That satsanga was started by Chaitanya Prabhu, and he was doing single-handedly, literally single-handedly, everything, buying the ingredients and cooking himself alone. In the initial days, I'm talking, before even Shamasham Prabhu and then others joined, in the beginning only bachelors were coming, especially mainly from his company. And then he used to cook alone, and he used to cook so many varieties, just to attract devotees, because those are the new people, so to attract them he used to cook many items than what we normally cook in the satsanga, so like chutney, tasty food, like papad, pakora, so, and we have been part of those things in the initial stage, and then later on, just to support him only, actually me and Shashimukhi joined that group, actually, so we need to remember those. It's a wonderful contribution by Chaitanya Prabhu. It's really, I feel so grateful to him that he's how alone, single-handedly did everything, so thank you so much for remembering those days. Wonderful. Thank you.
Krishna. So 11th chapter is where we had read. At 11th chapter, Arjuna recognizes Krishna as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. After listening to the opulences, in the 10th chapter he says Param Brahma, Param Dhama. So then Arjuna wants to see that form of Lord with those full of opulences, that some of the opulences that he has mentioned, and he requests Arjuna, Krishna, to show him. It's not that he demands or asks. So that's the difference between the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna says, "You take me to the middle of the battlefield," where that relationship with Krishna was a bit different. He was the warrior, and Krishna is his charioteer. But here, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. So he requests Krishna, and Krishna, knowing Arjuna and knowing Arjuna, why Arjuna is asking those questions, he reveals his universal form by giving him a divine vision. and that universal form is also seen by Sanjaya, who's narrating the story to Dhritarashtra. And Sanjaya describes what he is seeing. That's a description of the universal form. And then Arjuna also describes that. And most importantly, the chapter at the end of the chapter, after Arjuna sees the universal form, he's completely bewildered, completely amazed, and also he gets afraid. And then he requests Krishna to get back to his 400 form and then the original form. And when Krishna comes back to his original 200 form, Arjuna basically, again, the prayers of Arjuna is very, very important. He very beautifully, very prayerfully does the prayer. And then he also says apologies for talking to Krishna before without knowing him full. That he said, "Hey Adava, hey Sakha," and so many things. He feels apologetic because now he knows it, and as if he's now prepared for completely knowing the matters about devotion, Arjuna says. And then of course the chapter ends with 1155, which is supposed to be a very important shloka. And he knows that he's now the instrument in the Krishna's hand, the Nimitta Matra, and that's how the 11th chapter ends. So it's an important chapter preluding to the chapter of our thing. So as I told, 11th chapter prelude is Krishna shows the universal form, and Arjuna's attachment to personal two-handed form comes. And then the chapter 12 starts with Arjuna asking two questions: impersonal and personal worship. And to clarify his position as a devotee who works for Krishna as opposed to who's a Jnani or a renounced work. And first question is who works for Krishna or opposed to a Jnani or who renounces the work. This is something that is a kind of a cross connect between Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. And then he asked a question on the personal form of worship or impersonal form of worship. So the acronym, as described by the Sutta Das Prabhu, is God. The acronym for the 11th chapter is Rupa. Here it is God, because Bhakti or impersonalism, personal worship or impersonal worship, Godhead. Options: Krishna gives a progressive stages of devotion as options from highest to lowest, and devotee's disposition, qualities that endear one to Krishna. So the 12th chapter has to be remembered as God, Bhakti, progressive stages of devotion, and the qualities that endear to Krishna. So the first and second shlokas basically tell one who fixed his mind on Krishna, worshipping him with great transcendental faith, is considered to be more perfect than one who worships him in unmanifest, inconceivable, impersonal. This is Krishna basically addressing Arjuna's question as what is important. And worshippers of impersonal make advancement with only great difficulty. They can advance, but it's a difficulty. Krishna personally delivers devotees who are undeviatedly devoted to him. So the assurance of Krishna also comes here. So for today, we will just read this. This is one of my favorite slides that I picked up when I was listening to the course, when I was attending the course of the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So today we'll just cover this. So here the author, the person who has conceived this slide is very interesting. So here he's basically telling us in a very progressive manner how the concept of bhakti has developed in Srimad Bhagavatam, because bhakti as a layer is there throughout in the beginning, even though in certain chapters we have a karma yoga, jnana yoga, and buddhi yoga keep coming. So in that way, it's very interesting from an academic point of view also to remember to know, to be prepared to know more about bhakti yoga in 12th chapter. So sometimes you know the background of a topic and then you can be more immersed to know much more, right? Like today was a good example that Mataji during Srimad Bhagavata Smarana thing, she has given a background of a very, very important pastime of Srimad Bhagavatam involving Lord Shiva, Mohini, and Vishnu. And since that background was there, and then the depth of understanding from that background, why Shiva has to do this? If he's an exalted personality, was he not ashamed? What was the thing? So that depth we can go only if we know the background. If we do not know the background, that question itself doesn't arise. So in the same way, this slide is very interesting slide. I've seen Luckily, today morning, the same slide I had an opportunity to present to another group of devotees. So I'll just take it through. So Amritananda Prabhu, who is the author of this slide, the way it is there, has picked up very nicely. So this is the place where second chapter, when it comes in the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, Arjuna, knowing little bit of Krishna, when Krishna has summarized the topics of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna then asked at that time itself, who are those people whom you are talking about, these Karma Yogis, Dhyana Yogis, Bhakti Yogis, how do they look like and what do they talk? So when as a part of that, this 261, which establishes one of the fundamental criteria in a set of shlokas, that we should be ready, or we should be made ourselves eligible to receive Bhakti Yoga or understand Bhakti Yoga. What is that fundamental thing that comes as a sense gratification? Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asitamat paraha vashehi es indriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. So here, sense control and becoming steady in intelligence is one of the main criteria for us to start the devotion. So this is where the starting comes. And of course, then the very famous shloka which comes, which Srila Prabhupada says that 330 is a shloka where Srila Prabhupada says that this is the objective of Bhagavad Gita. And here it talks about a very interesting concept of Bhagavad Gita in terms of Karma Yoga, but taking Karma Yoga into further steps so that we come to the beginning of the doorstep of devotion. It's like a window to a devotion through the eyes of Karma Yoga. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasadhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasya vigata jvara. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your worries unto me with full knowledge. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your worries, surrendering all your works. Maybe I'm a bit worried today on something else. Something happened in the office yesterday or something which is causing me worry. So the work is coming as a worry to my mind. Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me. That is, that the topic also comes later in 9th chapter also, right? With full knowledge, understanding why I am surrendering, without desires for profit, okay? Because we do not own that profit, with no claims of proprietorship, because we are not the proprietor of our results, free from lethargy. That means become active and do your duty, that is fight. So this is a very important topic. So this is a window to Bhakti Yoga from the angle of Karma Yoga. And it also shows that when we perform Bhakti Yoga, when we surrender all our activities, results of all activities of Krishna without any detachment or without any proprietorship, that means actually we are doing activities of Bhakti Yoga, right? Because we have understood the position of Krishna as the proprietor. We have understood our position as that we are not the enjoyer. We can only enjoy what he gives us. It is his bhiksha. It is what you call it is his mercy only that we can take. We cannot enjoy anything other than that. And if we try to enjoy ourselves without considering him as a proprietor, then we'll have problem. And then, of course, knowing that Krishna is like that personality, and he comes to establish dharma, and he comes to establish and gives us the knowledge, and it also helps us to establish dharma, and not only as a person who's also in charge of protecting the sadhus, people who are spiritually oriented, people who want to be good in life and want to do good for others. So what happens if we try to understand his karma, janma and karma about him? What happens to those people? Here Krishna gives a window to his world, window to his spiritual world. The first one of the very few introductions of what a spiritual world means and why we have to go, and when we go we will not come back, even though there are some references to higher planets in 3rd chapter, some in the 2nd, but 3rd is more because of the yajna and all are there. But in the 4th chapter, Krishna gives a glimpse of what is that anti-material world. the world that is completely opposite to the matter. This world is material world, and that world is anti-material world. Why I'm using this word anti-material is yesterday I had a good opportunity to take a session for the youth on the easy journey to other planets, where Srila Prabhupada talks about this anti-matter and anti-material world. So good introduction is there. And once we know who is Krishna, once we know how to offer his results, and then we come to a stage of knowing that Krishna is the Bhokta. He is the ultimate proprietor of everything. And most importantly, he is the ultimate Suhruda. Like just like Mataji also, she was telling in the thing, we should not be worried whether, if we get a chastisement from the God, everything is good for only. God does everything for good. It's only just that how we take it. Initially, we may think that it is very tough on us. Yes, sometimes the situations in material life may become very challenging, and we may be very put down, may feel very bad, and why it happened to me. It causes a lot of confusion in our lives. But still, being in satsang and remembering these instructions will help us. So there, he's talking about Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam. He's Suhrud for all. Jnatva Mam Shantirichati. So when we know this, a person in full conscious of me, knowing me as the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all the living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material desire. So the word all is an important thing. Benefactor, sacrifice, proprietor of all the sacrifices, and then he gives happiness to others all. So after we understand the shloka, Krishna moves into Dhyana Yoga, which is a bit different from the Bhakti Yoga, but he also connects Dhyana Yoga to Bhakti Yoga by doing meditation, by the need for us to, how do we get steady intelligence, which he talks about in 261. We need to do certain things to keep our mind also intact, right? If we do not control our mind, the mind can become very turbulent and very agitated, just like the way we have seen in the past time of the Leela that Mataji today told us. The mind is very important factor. One of the lessons learned in that topic for us is that we need to be controlled in our mind, otherwise it plays a havoc. And while telling and giving a lot of details about Bhakti Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Krishna says how we can be always with him and how he can always be with us, taking us to the direction of the bhakti. The famous 630 shloka, which I think I have quoted several times. Yomam pashati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashati tasyaham na pranasyami sachamena pranasyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost, nor is ever lost to me. So if we want to keep Krishna within us, then it's a very interesting thing that we can keep Krishna with us by seeing everywhere and everything in him. And then of course he gives a very interesting shloka about, after talking so much about Dhyana yogis, Krishna tells who is a perfect yogi, because in the Dhyana yogis is talking yoginam api sarvesha madgatir antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam so same yuktatamo mataha. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides me, thinks of me himself, and renders transcendental loving service of me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So after telling this, Krishna takes us to the 7th chapter, where we learn on what's the importance of hearing, and the greatness of Krishna is described and energies of the Lord is described. So as the reader goes more and more, the nature, the qualities, the purpose of Krishna is more and more revealed, and a practitioner and the reader audience of the Bhagavad Gita gets to know more about Krishna. And then in the 8th chapter, of course, Krishna gives an important point, again gives a glimpse on how we can reach to that anti-material world, a world which is completely opposite of this material world, and also tells us so many technical details on how we should prepare ourselves for death in Krishna consciousness or in God consciousness, in bhakti, so that we will be eligible, we'll make ourselves make the purpose of this life fruitful. Otherwise, we have to again come back and or go to some other places. So this 8th chapter, of course, 8-7 among them is very important. Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaridyacha mai arpita manobuddhir mame vaishasi asamshaya. This is a very important shloka, which is also one of my favorite shlokas. Whenever I'm in difficulty, I chant this shloka. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me, your mind and intelligence is fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So that he says, and then of course he talks about 934, a very famous. It's called Essence and Essence of Bhagavad Gita. And a similar shloka also comes in 18th chapter also, but we will read only the 934. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishasi yuktaivam atmanam mat parayana. So engage your mind always thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me, being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So that's how Krishna tells essence. And then of course in 10th chapter we all know the Chatushloki, the 4 important shlokas that Krishna tells that people who know him, who he is, as Aham Sarvasya Prabho, they are intelligent, and after knowing it, when they assemble Chitta Matgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam, they enjoy discussing about him, and as they discuss and when they do devotion to him, he himself comes as a guru within himself, Chaitya Guru, and gives them that buddhi, and he gives them buddhi because of his compassion, karuna towards them. This is what Tesham eva anukampatham. So that's how it comes. And then of course we read that 1155 where all things get culminated into this, and then the 12th chapter starts. So I thought it was a very interesting way to introduce ourselves to bhakti and how the concept of bhakti is so much coming across the chapters in Bhagavad Gita to take us to the 12th chapter. So today we are very happy, and I also congratulate all of you for attending these Bhagavad Gita classes. So we have come to the 12th chapter, and I will end the session here. And from next week onwards, we will go shloka by shloka, that as we always do. And we also thank Amritananda Prabhu for giving his presentation. We also thank Srivala Prabhu for contacting Amritananda Prabhu and getting this wonderful slide material, which is immensely helping us in giving these sessions. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I forgot in the beginning. I wish you all a very happy Pongal. I think you enjoyed your Pongal. So many sessions and knowledge also was shared during the Pongal. And that's it. Hare Krishna. Any comments before we close? Sorry, I just took 5 more minutes of time. But yeah, thanks a lot. Hare Krishna. If people can switch on their videos, so we can also complete the ending Hare Krishna session, so that we can save time. Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have 2 things to share. One thing is a request from Jagjeev Jagannath Prabhuji to all the devotees to attend our next session, which is Guru Maharaj prayer session. Jagjeev Prabhu want to see every one of us to be there in that session, which is going to start at 8. This is one thing, and second thing is we need to have some prayer for some devotees. One of them is Puna Premmoy Mataji again, because though she has come out of those operations and all, but there is some complication still persisting. As per today's update, Sandesh Prabhu said that they'll be taking to another specialist for some bit of post-surgery complication, So, and then Sandesh Prabhu, Santa Kaushal Prabhu's mother also got operated yesterday, one eye, and another eye will be done, I think, after a few days. So we need to, and Santa Kaushal Prabhu really have a tough time to manage everything, So we really need a prayer for all of them, and then Pratishit Prabhu's mother, and then Raghuvi Prabhu's mother, and Lalita Mataji's brother who has got COVID. I think he's stable, but he's staying with family and kids, so we need prayer for him also. So I request all the devotees to pray for all the devotees who are suffering, you know. Yeah, by chanting 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. You're mute, Prabhuji. You're saying something, I think.
And once again, thanks a lot. We have started the 12th chapter, so we'll, in a very prayerful, devotional mood, we'll be able to continue and learn. And again, once again, thanks to Bindumada Mataji for giving a nice class, and we'll continue with the Sevadari concept of presentations also in the future. So what I was thinking as a suggestion, Prabhu, is it okay that we can make it Sevadari presentations to a slightly different height now? We can assign some of the topics that are relevant to the chapter that we are discussing. So the Sevadari presentations who are going to come will pick up those topics and present, so that our pace with which we go with the chapters that we are discussing will increase, point number one. And there's always a context that is set to the main stream of the discussions that happen. So for example, in 12th chapter, so I can predetermine with best of my knowledge, can share it with you, Sumangal Prabhu. You can pass it on and let people pick up. These are the topics that they want to prepare. So then we'll always be in the context of 12th chapter for 2-3 presentations. So it helps us to save time. I thought that will be, and it also helps us to increase the discussions and gives ability to do that. If this suggestion is okay, we can implement straight away, and that will, I think that's an experiment that we can do. If it doesn't work, we can go back to our normal mode. Because why I got this idea is when we give a small exercise to Sheshimukhi Mataji on telling that why Arjuna has to be so regretful, apologetic to Krishna. So the only one question I just popped up from my mouth, and Mataji was so, she prepared so much on the same topic. So I think it made a lot of interesting, and I think I also remember Shiva Prabhu when I asked him, tell me the reasons why Arjuna has to ask for the universal form, and then he did once, and next week also he elaborated it. So it all stayed within the same thing. The same topic could have even made a small Sevadari presentation also. So we don't have to take a very big topic, because if we take a big topic, the time constraint is also is making a lot of pressure on the presenters. If we take a small topic that can easily be explained within a short space of time to the satisfaction and to track. Yep.
Prabhuji, my time is running out. I have to join to the other meeting. So just to what you have said to make it more clear, I think is it you saying that you will continue with your class, but from the chapter you will make some kind of topics, and that you will share it. That's good, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So Sevadari presentation for the topic will be only on that topic.
Yes. I think this is a good idea. It's a good idea, Prabhuji. Yeah. So we'll be also focused on this chapter, and we'll be taking classes, and we'll be more interested to hear from you actually on the same subject. It will be good, Prabhuji. Yeah. Okay, that's fine, Prabhuji. So with your permission, yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. With your kind permission, we need to end the meeting. Prabhuji, yeah, you need to end the meeting. Hare Krishna.